Humbling. It certainly is humbling to stand before this great gathering of people here today to celebrate and honor the career of a man that we all hold dear in our hearts, each of us with our own stories to tell. And while many other words certainly come to mind when I think of the great impact that Dr. Ingram has had on all of our lives and on our community, I keep coming back to that same singular word, humbling. Rick, you have clearly touched the lives of all of us here tonight, a small representation of the thousands of lives you have touched directly, and certainly the millions of lives you have touched indirectly. Humbling indeed. 13 years ago, I took a choir job at a Lutheran church, not Zion Lutheran. And in that choir, I had two very faithful members, Richard and Susan. And I don't know what Rick was thinking, but I hope it wasn't anything like Steve Roberts was thinking when Rick was up conducting hymn. I was well aware that he had a doctor in front of his name and what he did, and to be honest, I don't know if I ever got over that intimidation. But Rick was there every Sunday, as was Susan, giving their best, singing with their hearts, and offering me advice when I needed it, words of encouragement, and help with those darn Latin words. As I grew and tried to discern what my future path would be, someone who grew up playing violin, did a performance major in trumpet, and was now a choir director, Rick was there to help guide me through all that. So I went to grad school in the University of Michigan and thought about where I wanted to student teach. I sought no further than to work with Steve Roberts and Richard Ingram, and Rick continued to be a wonderful mentor to me. When I got my first job at Saline, Rick helped me through those teachable moments on Sundays. And yes, even when I came here at Huron, Rick was helping with the registration again, just like he was for Steve. Rick, you have led this department, this school, and this community through your example of excellence, dedication, compassion, wisdom, patience, and love. Your love for learning is contagious, and your care for your students, colleagues, and friends is evident in all that you do. Whether it's through changing light bulbs or putting up the acoustical towers here in Myers Auditorium, or through the many inspiring choir rehearsals, or spending those 30 extra minutes with the students just trying to figure out more about those Italian Baroque composers, or, as Steve mentioned, sharing a few slices of pizza on Friday among friends and colleagues. You are our compass, our shining star in the night that has inspired all of us to be the best that we can be, compassionate people, engaging musicians, and dynamic leaders in our community. While my own words often come up short, I'd like to share with all of you the text from the scene in Aaron Copland's opera, The Tenderland, entitled The Promise of Living. I think of Rick in this text. The promise of living, with hope and thanksgiving, is born of our loving, our friends, and our labor. The promise of growing, with faith and with knowing, is born of our sharing our love with our neighbor. For many a year we've known these fields and known all the work that makes them yield. Are you ready to lend a hand? We'll bring in the harvest, the blessings of the harvest. We plant each row with seeds of grain, and Providence sends us the sun and the rain. By lending a hand, by lending an arm, bring out from the farm, bring out the blessings of the harvest. Give thanks where there was sunshine, give thanks there was rain. Give thanks we have hands to deliver the grain. Come, join us in thanking the Lord for his blessing. Oh, let us be joyful, oh, let us be grateful for the Lord for his blessing. The promise of ending in right understanding is peace in our own hearts and peace with our neighbor. Oh, let us sing our song, and let our song be heard. Let's sing our song with our hearts and find a promise in that song. The promise of living, the promise of growing, the promise of ending is labor and sharing and loving. Thank you, Rick, for sharing your song with us. Thank you for inspiring us, for leading us, for growing with us, for living with us. You have touched all of us here in ways you may never know the full magnitude of. Your song has been deeply planted in all of our hearts and now has become our song. And as those of us who are gathering here tonight, as we later part ways, at least for now, it is my great hope that we may all share your song, now our song, with a world that is certainly in desperate need of such music. Oh, let us sing our song, and let our song be heard. Let's sing our song with our hearts and find a promise in the song. Rick, we can't thank you enough. But before we do, we have a parting gift. So, I've been teaching here at Huron for 6 years, and since I got here, I knew my job was to try to keep Rick to stay as long as possible. And I tried to show him that I need a lot more mentoring. And another way I did so was there was a box of spoons that I'm sure was probably from like the 1940 Picnic Pops program. And a huge box of spoons. And I have to say, until our colleague Allison Hendricks got here, we were moving through the spoons quite slowly. But someone had to speed that along. And I told Rick, I said, you can't retire until you go through that box of spoons, thinking, man, I got another 10 years, if I get it. And so Allison picked up a retirement fork and knife that we'd like to present you. We were trying to figure out a way for it to stand for DOC, the doc, but we're not creative enough. But anyway, congratulations and thank you, Rick.